status, demo, demos, and topics. Demos. What do we have? What do we have? Anyone's got demos? Who made something? Nobody. Where is Jasmin? Where is Michael? Not here. So far no demos. Status. So we merged some PRs, fine translations for localized terms. So fixing some localization issues with taxonomies. We merged this PR from Hermes. Fixing autoroute perf. When it's loading now, it's optimized, because if you have too many autoroutes, apparently it was very slow. So this code fixes that. I think they had, we saw a website that had more than 4,000 autoroutes. That's a big website, huge. What was it? What was the website?
Love VDA.
Something like that. What's happening? What did you say, Antoine?
Love VDA.
Yeah, it's in my history. Valid hosta. So this one has lots of pages, and all these pages are translated in all these languages. So this is the Italian one. This is the English one. So a little culture picker. You see, everything is working. It's huge. And that's why they fixed this issue with perf on autoroute. Then merging, so Lombic merged 110x into dev and fixed the merge conflicts. So that's good. Orchard call. What do we have? 7 days ago, PO string localizer should respect fallback to parent UI culture. We merged it. I'm not sure we talked about it last week. It's yeah, we talked about it. Generate RTL for media style. Again, if you have CSS files and they require support for RTL, you need to add that. Support calendar, so we match that. The idea is that we have the notion of iCalendar selector in the abstractions, and the default implementation is that it will take the current culture. You see, current UI thread, current UI culture, and it will take the calendar for this culture, which is a BCL1, and convert it to an internal one, and then to an ODA one for the default. Where is that? For the local clock that uses another time. So whenever it will return date time as another time date time, then it will use this calendar, and we can change the way calendars are picked up by creating custom calendar selectors, but we should not need to. And the effect is that when we render a date time, it should use the calendar that is associated with the culture that is currently rendering the date time, like all these calendars: Hebrew, Jiri, Julian, Persian, the default being Gregorian, and that's it. and there was another issue file that we don't have custom pickers for editors. So now we need to look into that at the editor level. So when the current culture of a content item, well, to get some special datetime pickers for these custom calendars, we need to look into that. Actually, we already do that in Orchard 1. Nope. Hide pager when folder is empty in assets page. So if there is no more than 0, show more than 0. Apparently it works. It's removing a pager. Then this is, what kind of branch is that? The 3.0 branch, because I tried to work on the 3.0 branch. Then this is another branch. We'll look at it. This is the dev branch, fix admin menu localization. Wrong resolution for the string localizer. Email socket options. So Michael fixed the the email settings to reflect the new MailKit API and expose a new option. Auto select encryption and encryption method, which are MailKit specific. Now it works. Translate hints. So this is about how we should. So this is typically very wrong. Well, not very wrong, but this thing here was passed as a parameter, so this should have been translated. It's not a technical value. When it's a technical value, we pass it as an argument. We don't translate it. But this is not a technical value. It was a text that should be translated, so it's now this way. And the other change with that is that these chars, the dashes here, are out of the translation, because apparently, even if we are in RTL, they will be put on the right or on the left based on what they were, how they are displayed in the standard HTML. So we don't have to translate it to keep the order. So we can just do that, and Antoine fixed all of them. You see, every time we were using this pattern to translate the order, to handle the order of the dash for the translated string, we don't need that. Apparently it's fine. So less strings to translate. Okay, so that's good. Add various users liquid filter. So some user wanted to check user with permissions and roles, so Michael implemented that. Also the documentation we have. So we already had the user object in liquid, and now we have the has permission filter to check for a name permission and optionally a resource to check for. We have the is in role and the has claim. Permission being one of the claims we have. And has permission checking the permission claim. Or actually calling the authorize async. That will resolve that based on the roles of the user. Okay. Filters. Fixing default content creation task value. From myself, so the issue was that when you will create a new content task, a new create content activity, the default template will be serializing that, but this is a localization string which has many properties, and we will see the many properties in the editor, which is completely wrong. So in this case, it's a string localizer, so we need to get the value of the localized string to render as the default value in the display text. We can do dot value because it's a string localizer. If it was an iView localizer, we could not do dot value because it will be encoded and there will be a double encoding issue. But here we need to be using a string localizer. So the string is not yet encoded. If it needs to be rendered in HTML, it will be encoded. So that's the way to do that. Yeah. Fix styles on filters. Let me look at the issue because I think we had a screenshot. we do. So now you see these two lines are grouped in the same container, and it works well also with breakpoints. You see, it's responsive, so that's super nice. Thank you. Last one is a tier. Fixed margin on new email settings from Michael. Jasmine fixed it. Then what do we have? Where is the dev branch? This is this one. So dev branch, the purple one has been merged here by myself. Weird. Bad me. So fix media RTL style issues. Update bootstrap to 431. This one is interesting. It's weird that it worked before, but I will trust it. And now this is not what I read in the PR. Now I'm confused, because at first I thought it was wrong. Then I thought, oh no, it's fine. But now I think it's wrong. So the ID, let's look at it. So this is a PR with the file changed. No, yes, that's exactly what I thought. Okay, that's good. That's what I thought. So the more dots we have, the upper it will go to find the root node module references. But this one is almost a local one for the module, for the workflow module. So it will look for bootstrap type definitions in the workflow module, which because here we are in the jQuery folder in the lib in the assets. So if we go to the workflows, core.workflows, here we should have a package JSON and a package lock, and a package JSON says that this module requires the type definitions for bootstrap. Okay, and we could update that actually if we're using 431. So this type definition will be in the local, we don't commit it, but in the local non-modules folder. Okay, not the one coming from this folder or this folder that has another package JSON here. Okay, which has other things. This one says, oh, the workflow has its own package JSON. Okay, that's how it works. Bootstrap, add a read. So this is a different branch from Jasmine, and add sort to supported size when loaded from configuration. The issue being that if we load the supported sizes for resizing, the verification we do requires the values to be ordered. So now when it's loaded from the configuration file, we order it to be sure they are ordered, so we can enter them in the non-ordered way. Otherwise it will not work, and then people were wondering why. So that's good. Okay, who's back here? Who's got some demos? Jasmine, do you have a demo? A demo? Do you have a demo? Oh, Jean-Philippe?
Nothing that I can think of.
I'm not sure Jean-Philippe did anything. He did nothing. So let's look at the pull requests to see what will be merged next. Yeah. This is interesting. We can talk about it. This we should merge, but it's a PR for the PR. Fixing admin menu error style. Let's look at it. This is super interesting. This is we don't care. It. It's fixing all the things. This we can talk about. This I need to review. This we might merge it. And that should be okay. This one also might be mergeable. Oh, I see. It was already merged. Yes, it was already merged, I think. So this one is interesting. New contributor, I think. Ludo from France. So the changes are 3 changes in this PR related to localization. Let's look at the obvious one, which is that this text was not translated. So good catch. Oh, that's what I said. Then this one is less obvious, but almost right. So here we are rendering the status of the workflow, which can be open, I don't know, finalize. What is the entry status? Status, well, those values, like 3 or 4 values, okay, failed and running, stuff like this. But when we render it this way, this is an enumeration. Okay, well, I assume it's an enumeration. Let's be sure it's an enumeration. Workflows, activities. Again, workflows, not the test. Give me a link. Ding. Is that the link? Status. Workflow status. Okay. So this is this enumeration, idle, starting, and we have a number of values. So this will be rendered as is in the output. So they are not translated. And the first reflex here was to just translate that. This is fine because it's a static value. Okay. Well, not really. It's not dynamic. We know the list of values we can have, and they are taken from the enumeration, so it will work. The issue is that nobody will be able to translate them because we don't know that they have to be translated. So the solution in that case, when we want to translate enum, is to use a switch statement. Like here we do switch this variable, case every single value of the enum, case idle, case starting, case resuming, case executing, and then we call t of starting, t of idle, t of something. Okay, we call every one of these values in a t with a string inside, a static string inside. And this way the localization tool will be able to pick that value and we'll see that to be localized in the crowding page. Otherwise, we won't be able to extract the values from that, and it won't work until the tool to extract is clever enough to find the enum, but it will never be. So we should write all the values manually here. Okay, and then the last point for translation, this one is tricky because it's taking that thing, name, and in this case, let's look at an example here. Activity, create content activity, content activity. Well, it's not the last one, I'm sure. Name, workflows activities. And if we have the content activity, content published event, or create content task. Okay, create content task. This one has a name, okay, which will be this static value. Create content task. And the issue is that if we go there, same thing, it's kind of a static value because it's a well-known thing, it won't evolve, it's based on the code, but again we won't be able to know what to put in the POT files and we won't be able to localize it. So this file is generic, edit activity, and it goes for every activity. So we can't specialize it with a switch case. So the options are, we could return in this code a localized string for the name like we do here for the content. I think that will be the best option for us, and this way it will be found automatically. Or we could also have some system where we could create a custom file for the localizer tool to pick up strings that we know of. Like we will use this dynamic construct, but every module could create a custom file called maybe strings.pot that will create exactly the list of values that are expected in this file for this entry. Okay, so that's the idea, but I think the solution will be to return a localized string for the name here, maybe localized name or display name or title or text. Localized, well, display name, or what did I say? Display text. Do we already have something like this for description? Another option will be to have a custom shape for the title, and I think maybe that's what is done for the description, but that's okay. Yep, so this one is interesting. Questions about that? What is about fix admin menu arrow style? No screenshots, so we don't know exactly what it is. We'll see. Oh, this is the direction of the arrow. That looks okay. Oh, my only concern is that we merged some files. Bootstrap version. Tab support for admin content. This one is interesting. This is adding the tabs. So we have the syntax to define that in the location files and the location rules. It's just that we never implemented the tab support in the default template. Original issue, tab UI for editor views here, but for any content item we should have a way to designate a shape to tab. Okay, and so we have to see how it works with validation, but it looks like it works, and just an example is giving here the hash SEO, meaning the tab. So it will use that as the name of the tab, and I assume maybe also, yeah, translations. So same thing, maybe we need a file that defines the translated strings for that says this is a translation. So we need to be able to translate it. Maybe we need that. And yeah. That, or yeah, it can't be the dynamic solution we talked about because it's static data. It should be reusable across all sites. So we need to be able to define a file that would expose that, or some comments or something like that. Antoine, should I ping Lucas? But this looks good, and I'm sure it's not super hard to implement, just looking at is there a tab definition and creating as many zones to render them inside. So that's a nice one, will be merged soon. Publish and save draft button, add create. Okay, so this one we have, before we had the publish and continue, now there is a publish and create new. Save and continue, save and create new. I saw something, I think either in WordPress or Drupal. Yeah, but I saw something, a way to configure what to do next with buttons. And the idea was that when this page is called, the return URL here is actually the next action you want to apply after that. So like when you click publish, you don't have to say and continue or and create new. It's the way you arrived on this page will say what's the next action.
I think this is what it's doing already, but except for the end create new that would specify just reopen a new form of a new content item, because it's bypassing the return URL in that specific case.
Yes, so that we can come back on the stay on this page. Or okay, I see.
And I'm keeping the return URL for the next action that will be happening for, yeah.
Yeah, and what I'm talking about, I think it was for the login, like when a user logs in, where do you want your user to go? And this way we don't have to hijack the request and intercept its login request and then change the URL dynamically. We can just configure the login form to have a return URL hidden input so that the login controller will redirect to whatever return URL was set, and we don't have to intercept the request. That's the way to do that. But yeah, a little bit related to that, but not really here. Publish and continue, publish and create new. And you say, okay, so publish and continue comes back on this page to edit. Publish and create new creates a new type of this item. And publish goes back to the list.
Yes, yes. And I had the return URL on the navigation item builder because we didn't have on those menu items are, when you do new content item on the left menu, it's not returning anywhere.
You see, that's the issue. You just did what he did, but every time we want to add a new option like this, we need to change the controller, and that's the problem. We should be able to reuse the return URL, so that in this case, this button will have a return URL data or something, or parameter, like the form that is submitted with that will have the return parameter that is to the same item here, but we don't know. That's the issue. But for create new, we know. For create new, we know the URL that we should return to be able to create a new one. This one we can't, and that will prevent you from having to change the controller. And we could add many more things to that.
Yeah, I can try to make this better.
Just use the return URL for this case, because we have it. You see, because we will have a return URL and not stay on the same page, so it will work this way. It will automatically return to the create new item. So I assume we can just use return URL in this case. But maybe change the way this is taken. By just adding an input return URL with the button. That should work. Look at that, at least 5 minutes, we'll see.
Yeah.
It looks cool. Feature list prevent from submit on searchbox. There is a space here. I think that's wrong. And this is a comment. This is just spaces. Searchbox key press. Okay. Oh, I see. Preventing the enter to submit the form because it's submitting the form. Okay. But there is a space issue here. Prettify and simplify content localization. This is a good idea. There might be issues. So you see right now, this is already what we have. We have the badges for each culture we have localized. Here we have a bigger button today. Maybe I think it's called Localizations, and we see bigger text. And the only thing that I find interesting, that I find that we are losing here is the fact that we don't know if we are creating a new one or editing existing one, or it's just that this example is editing both of them because they both exist. No, the new article doesn't exist in Arabic, I assume. Maybe yes. So yeah. Well, not sure it exists actually, because why isn't this one? Or maybe it's not the same thing. Maybe it's not the same one, just with a new name. Otherwise, yeah, because you can't localize something that doesn't have a localization. Yeah, so we don't have the distinction between existing and new ones. So that would be interesting to have. This is nice, and I think there was another screenshot. No, yeah. When you edit the article, here you see all the languages. I think I commented on that, saying that we should be able to have a list of tags, but when we have too many, we should go back to a drop down, because that might be easier than having a full list of tags. And also a way to know if it exists or not. Here it's grayed. I'm not sure if it's obvious or not. I have read also that full names like this are more useful than just codes like this when we want to do actions on that. This is fine, but when we want to take action, this might not be interesting. Yeah, the tooltip, but tooltip is not very accessible, I don't know. Or are you talking about something else? Yeah, yeah, the tooltip is here. Yeah. When you're on the phone, what do you do? I pointed to a site that explains the best practice with data explaining why we should use the full names like this. This is good. Even better, because when you're in another alphabet, like Arabic or like Japanese, Chinese, these maybe you won't understand if you're talking the other language. But if you see your language in the culture in your language, then you actually can read it and you know what it means. Twitter client update status workflow activity. This one we didn't talk about, but it's a super nice one. Update Twitter status from a workflow activity. And my key is not here to give a demo, but that's okay. We'll just manage it. Let me check. Yeah, I will check if there are any conflicts with what has been updated, but I don't think so. There should not be scripts inside that. So that should be okay to be merged. Activities in the workflows, like when you create content or blog post, do it automatically. Same thing for Facebook. I made some comments. Gabor blogged about it and showed some screenshots. GitHub authentication. Facebook module. Looks cool. So we'll merge it because people have tried it and apparently it works. Minus, oh, outdated. Maybe it has been updated. Yeah, okay, I checked that. Yeah, this is a PR for the GitHub authentication. The name was copy pasted. That's okay. And this one I need to review. Does anyone have questions or demos? No new people, so no new demos. Status, I will do my best merging as many PRs as I can. I was working on looking at the perf for Orchard on the 3.0 branch with the .NET Core 3.0. It's faster. It takes much less memory. I haven't tried with multi-tenant, but I will soon. My goal being to automate the benchmarking of Orchard and find regressions in our perf or in the .NET Core, and also have better data for the .NET Core to measure real applications, stuff that does more than just rendering a random page. Orchard does many things, so that will help us and the .NET Core for perf. Could be a quick fix of what? Yeah, I hate it. I want to check. What is it?
It's the data binding that doesn't work with complex types. In that case, it's an enumeration that is inside a list, which doesn't bind. That's why I did it manually.
I want to see that.
Yeah.
It's weird. Okay. Thursday, we'll fix it. Okay, good. Thanks everyone. If there are no more topics, then see you on Thursday.